Hello viewers, welcome to CEC lectures. Myself Dr. Preeti Jagwani from Department of Computer Science, Arivit College, University of Delhi. So presently we are going through our series of programming in Java, and in our last lecture we have started with the real object oriented we can say flavor of Java, and we understood about classes and methods. So going forward, today's agenda is about instance methods. I'll be elaborating on this topic of instance method, but before that, we'll be having a quick recap of what we did on our previous lectures. So in previous lectures, the basic agenda was creation of a class, and then after creation of we can say an object. So creation of object with reference to, please recall the program in which we have created a class box, and for that we have started with creation of objects by saying the statement box my box is equals to new box within the parenthesis. So here box is the name of the class whose object we are going to we can say create. My box is the name of the object, and then is equals to new is the operator for kind of dynamic allocation of memory. We all are aware of that, and then again box, the name of the class, followed by parenthesis, and this is what actually the call of constructor is. And this call of constructor I'll be explaining in our upcoming lectures. So basically the focus here is your objects in Java are actually created using new, while when we compare them with our primitive types, like for example integer or character or double or something of that sort, Java's primitive types are not implemented as objects because they are kind of for the sake of efficiency, I can say they are more they are implemented as normal variables, not as the objects. So objects, because they are having many features and attributes, so Java is going to treat them differently from the primitive types. And if we talk about kind of do we really have the object versions of the primitive types, so yes, we will be in our subsequent lectures after completion of object oriented programming fundamentals, we will be looking into the object versions of the primitive types that are available for use. In what type of situations they are available? They are available in the situations where complete object of those types are needed. So basically primitive types can be used as simple variables, or these primitive types like integer or character or double can also be used as the object. So this is what one thing which is important to be aware of. And this new the keyword, it's actually allocating memory for an object during the runtime, and using this new approach we will be able to create as many as objects we will be requiring. So the statement was box my box is equals to new box, as it is written on the screen, or this can be kind of we can say subdivided, or this can be written in two statements. One is box my box, that is declaration of a reference to the object, and another one is my box is equals to new box, which is kind of an allocation of a box object. Now we need to understand this again very carefully, that in the first statement only a reference to the object is being created, no actual object or the no memory is being allocated for the object. So first line is going to declare my box as a reference to the object of type box, and after execution of this first line, if we are going to refer this my box or any reference to this my box, will give you an error, because this my box presently it's a kind of a reference to the object. Even in this reference to the object, no value has been assigned, so that means it is not yet pointing to any actual object. So any attempt to use my box at this point is going to give us a compile time error. So when this my box will be kind of we can say will be able will be ready for use, after the second line, that in the next line allocates an actual object and assign a reference of that actual object to my box. In reality, if we can see, my box is the reference variable which is simply holding the memory address of the actual box object, and this is depicted here in this figure. So first of all, if we say box my box, that means a my box reference variable is actually created, which is presently having no value, so that's why null is being shown here. And then after saying my box is equals to new box, this my box earlier it was having a null, we can say a null reference, but here after the execution of this second line, an actual box object will be created. And how this actual box object is created? With the help of right hand side statement of the assignment operator, which is new box followed by parenthesis. This is through this effect a new a box object is created, and whatever is the reference, whatever is the address of this particular box object will be assigned to the variable my box. So simply I can say my box is actually now have started pointing towards the newly allocated by box object. So in this way we can say in detail the objects can be created, and instead of having two lines class name and then the reference name, then reference name is equals to new the call to the constructor, we can have them in the one line, and that we have already seen. So now moving forward, we actually want to do what? Presently till this point we have assigned this one particular we can say a reference variable, and we have allocated the address of one object to that. Now we actually want to assign the object reference variables by some other methods. Now what could be other method, but some other assignments I can say. So let's say I am having a reference variable, or I am having an object to say kind of in the programming language, if we can say that we are going to create an object, that object is named as B1 by the virtue of the statement box B1 is equals to new box. So B1 actually here is a kind of technically it is a reference to the object, but in kind of we can say while addressing we can say that B1 is the object. Now if we want to assign the reference, whatever reference is there in B1 to another variable B2, which obviously must have a compatible type, and the type of B1 or B2 should be box. So the statement which we are going to write will be box B2 is equals to B1. So here what is going to happen using this statement? The statement is box B2 is equals to B1. So here a new we can say a reference variable will be created. Please remember there is no kind of a no separate object will be created. It's just a matter of creation of separate reference variables, and now B1 and B2 both will be referring to the same objects. Assignment of B1 to B2 which we just did, it is not going to create any copy of the original object to which B1 was actually pointing. So it is going to just simply create one particular reference variable, and that reference variable will be pointing towards the object of the class box. And here is the effect of this particular statement when we say box B2 is equals to B1. That means whatever reference is being stored in B1 is now being assigned to B2. Essentially your B2 has also started pointing towards the object to which B1 was pointing. So this is actually we can say this is assigning the object reference variables. Now any changes made to the object through B2 will affect the object to which B1 is referring, because they both are referring to the same object. So if B1 is going to make any change to this box object, the object which is being referred by B2 will also be, kind of changed, because essentially I am talking about the, essentially I am talking about one same object, and presently B1 and B2 both are referring to the same object, but yes, we can say there is no link between B1 and B2 except the fact that they are referring to the same object. So, for example, if we say we are going to assign, B1 a something else value which is going to, keep it separate from the original object, and this can be done without affecting the object or without affecting the B2. Now, let us say the statement says, previously we have seen box B1 is equals to new box, then box B2 is equals to B1, and we have now in the very next statement we are writing B1 is equals to null. So, what will happen here? Till this point, B1 and B2 were two reference variable pointing towards the same object. Now, B1 is not having anything, that means now B1 is actually, I can say detached from the object. It is not affecting B2 in any manner. B2 is still connected to that new object, or B2 is still having the address of the new object, while B1 is holding a null value. B1 has been set to null and B2 is still, pointing to the original object, we can say. So, this is what, this is how we can deal with assigning values to the, objects. Now, when we started with the, classes in Java, we have said, those classes in Java can have, instance variable, can have instance method, they can have nested classes and so on and so forth. So, till this point we have seen instance variables, and now from here we will start looking into the instance methods also. So, till this point what we have covered in this lecture, till this point we have seen how are we going to assign the address of the objects to the reference variable in a way, what is the effect of the statements when we create the objects. That is something which we have seen, and we have also seen how to assign the object reference variable. So, moving forward we come to instance methods. So, when we talk about instance method, so class usually is having two things, one is instance variable and another one is instance method. And instance variable we have already seen in our previous example. Please recall the example of box class in which we were having some variables like height, width and depth. So, those were actually instance variable. But there we have not used any of the instance methods, and this is what we are going to do now. So, in order to consider a general format of instance methods, we have this as one is the return type, that is kind of return before the name of the method. Then within the parenthesis we have the parameter list. Followed by opening curly braces we have body of the method and return value or the return keyword, and the value after that is actually we can say optional statements. That's why it is written in the around inside the brackets. So, the general format says there is a return type, then there is a name of the function or method, they both can be used interchangeably. So, one is return type, then the name of the method, then there is a parameter list followed by body of the method and return value if exist. So, let us try to understand all these components in detail. So, whenever there is a calling function, there is a function which is being called, there is exchange of values between these two functions, one who is calling and another one who is getting called. So, if there are some values which the calling function is going to provide or which the calling function is going to pass, is going to give to the called function, that can be done through parameter list. If the values of exchange is vice versa, that means from called function to the calling function, here comes in the picture the concept of return values. So, these methods can have return type, and all those methods which have return type other than void. Void means we can say nothing or no return type. So if there is a return type which is other than void, anything like integer, character, or double or something of that sort, then we need to write the return statement here, which is given in the inside the square brackets, and also we need to specify the return type before the name of the method or before the name of the function. Now if there is no return type, then there is kind of no need of that return statement, which I was telling you that it is an optional statement, and also there is no need to write any type, any return type before the name of the method. So we can say this was actually a general format of any method. Now what actually the agenda is? The agenda is we need to add a method to the class, and that's why they have known as kind of instance methods. So we need to add a method to the class, and now the question comes up, is it actually kind of is it mandatory to have a method at least, or one method in any of the class? Actually not. It is perfectly fine to create a class that contains only data, but that doesn't happen very often. Why? Because, or we can say it rarely happens, because data is something, let's say some values are stored within a class or something of that sort, but we need some code to act upon, we need some code to work upon that data, and this is actually your method is. Now with the help of a program, let us see how we can add a method to that particular class box. We will be taking the previous program and improving it upon. So here we have a class box, which is which you have already seen, followed by opening parenthesis, and then we have double we have width, height and depth, all are of type double. Then we have one method which is not returning anything, that means it is returning void. So we have written void. The name of the method is volume, and then this volume is actually we can say this name is actually prefixed by the opening and closing parenthesis, which is presently we can say is blank or vacant. So that means your whosoever is going to call this volume will not be assigning or will not be providing any values to the volume, because parameter list is empty. Then as far as return is considered, no value will be returned from the volume to the calling function, because the return value is also void. So that means in terms of variables, that is at least in this example, there is no exchange of values or there is no exchange of variables. Then what actually this calling function and called function are exchanging? It is just the transfer of control, nothing else. So the function volume says void volume, and within the parenthesis it is saying volume is, that is for printing, and then again system.out.println, it is going to print one value, and which value I am talking about? It is nothing but the multiplication of width, height and depth. So in the previous version of this class box, there was no method which is named as volume. Here we have created a method volume, and we have written width multiplied by height multiplied by depth into that. Now what are we going to do? So moving further with this program, we will be creating two instances of this class. Each instance will having its own separate set of variables, which is width, height and depth, and we will be calling the volume function with these two instances separately. Let's see how. So let's say we have created one more class named as box demo 3 here. You can name whatever you wish to, and within this main public static void main function is there. So that means ideally we are going to name the file of this particular program as box demo 3. So in order to create the instances, we have created two. One is box, my box 1 is equals to new box, another one is box, my box 2 is equals to new box. So, 2 instances, my box 1 and my box 2, and then using my box 1 dot width, that means a dot operator between the object or the instance name and the variable which is width, then the object name dot again the next variable name height, then object name which is my box 1 dot width is equals to dot depth is equals to 15. So, some random values, let us say 10, 20, 15 have been assigned to width, height and depth of my box 1. Similarly, we have created one more we can say object here which is named as my box 2. So, my box 2 dot width, my box 2 dot height and my box 2 dot depth are being kind of assigned some values. Then in order to call the volume function, we will be again using the dot operator and we will be seeing my box 1 dot volume, that is calling volume function using the instance my box 1, and on the very next line my box 2 dot volume, that is calling the volume function with another instance named as my box 2. So, within the program we have initialized the instance variable and we have called the instance method. So, when my box 1 dot volume is executed, Java runtime system will transfer the control to the code which is defined inside the volume. After this code has completed its execution, the control is returned to the main function which is the calling routine here, and execution will resume with the next line of the code following the call. So, here for example, when we talk about my box 1 dot volume, control from here will go to the volume code which is being written in another class file, and after execution of that particular the control will come back here, and this next line which says my box 2 dot volume will start executing, and the similar process will happen again because of the statement my box 2 dot volume. It will again go back to the volume function, execute that function, and then when the control is returned to the calling routine, execution resumes with the line of code following the call, which is kind of closing parenthesis here in our program. And inside the volume method, what is happening, these two variables which are width, height and depth, these are directly referred and these are kind of multiplied. Now, when I am saying directly referred, that means we within the volume function we have not said my box 1 dot volume multiplied by my box 1 dot depth multiplied by my box 1 dot width, because a method is always invoked relative to some objects of its class, and once this invocation has occurred, the object is known. So, that means there is no need to write the object name along with the dot operator within that thing. So, within a method there is no need to specify the object to object a second time. That means the width, height and depth which I am talking about refers to the copies of variable or refers to the width, height and depth of the object that invokes the volume. So, for example, if my box 1 dot invoking the volume, that means width, height and depth are of my box 1. If my box 2 is invoking the volume, that means the kind of we can say width, height and depth are actually from your my box 2. So, this is what it happens, and here in this lecture we have seen how are we going to add the methods to the classes and how are we going to use them. We will be coming up with more on return values and the other situations in which the method is going to take parameters in our upcoming lectures. Here is a list of references which is being used for the preparation of lecture. Hope you have enjoyed one. I will see you in the next lecture. Till then, take care. Goodbye.